Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our live webinar on financial wellness. My name is Brian Yutu. I'm a risk consultant at Zamara, and I'll be your moderator for this session. So Zamara has in the past hosted various seminars and webinars focused on health and finances, and will continue to do so, true to our commitment of powering your prosperity. Today, we host our 9th webinar in conjunction with Absa Life Assurance, and the webinar is dubbed Financial Wellness Redefined. This webinar will be in 2 series, today being the first. We will definitely communicate the date for the next episode. For this session, we have a fantastic panel of speakers who will answer some of the questions we often think to ourselves. Some of these questions are, how do we take charge of our finances by identifying the various stages in life we are in, and how do we manage money at each stage? We also ask ourselves, why do some people create wealth while others run the rat race? Another question we often ask is, what is the place of financial planning in personal financial wellness? And what are some of the tools to use? Because we may know all these details, but we are unsure of some of the tools that we use to empower ourselves towards financial wellness. Another question is, how do I develop personal finance goals for the short term, medium, and long term? And finally, we will learn what are the 5 big budget items in my life and how do I plan for them? So all this and more will hopefully be answered by the end of this session. And we'll also have information on some savings and protection platforms where we can keep and safeguard our hard-earned money as it gains interest. It's always so important to ensure that you're at any one time trying as much as you can to beat inflation, and we will learn how. This webinar series has even more relevance now because of the ongoing pandemic, where costs are skyrocketing and the future remains very uncertain. That's the need for proper planning. Before we proceed, a few housekeeping issues. 1, a recorded version of this webinar will definitely be made available for all registered participants. And this can be shared by your friends, family, and colleagues who may have missed this live session. Also, as the webinar goes on, we would love to hear from you. So please engage with us on chat and Q&A window. We have a team ready to engage with you. And towards the end, we will also engage further on any question and answers that will be raised. Without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce our panelists for the day, beginning with the lovely Miss Monica Musewa. Miss Monica Musewa is a team leader at Zamara, and she heads the retail division. She has over 7 years experience in different roles within Zamara, and her area of expertise is specifically in insurance advisory. At this point, I would invite Monica Musewa to greet the audience.
All right, thank you very much, Brian. Good morning, everyone. So like Brian said, my name is Monica Musewa, team leader, retail insurance in Zamara, and it's a very great pleasure to be here today. Looking forward to a great session, interaction with the audience, and also to answer your questions. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much, Monica. On to the next one, we have a gentleman by the name of Mr. Eric Gatumunjiru. Mr. Eric heads alternative distribution channels at Absa Life Assurance Kenya. He has a lot of experience, over 10 years experience working for insurance companies and insurance brokerage firms in different roles such as business development and insurance brokerage in general. He's a family man and a husband to 1 that we know, father of 3 children, both known and unknown, and loves swimming and traveling. And finally, allow me to introduce to you our keynote speaker. Sorry, before you proceed to the keynote speaker, I'll allow Mr. Eric to clarify my statements.
Thank you so much, Brian, and good morning to all of us. Indeed, it's a great opportunity that we have here. There's a lot that we have prepared to both learn and to share, and we look forward to a fruitful engagement through this session of webinar. Thanks, Brian.
Fantastic. Thank you, Eric. And finally, to our keynote speaker, who most of you may be familiar with or have heard him speak in various forums. A man who is an accomplished business leader with a passion of building people and their businesses. His knowledge and expertise is deeply founded primarily upon practices and hands-on experience. This experience has actually been acquired through years as a successful leader in the business arena. He is currently the CEO of Citadel Consulting Limited and founder of the Personal Finance Academy. Personal Finance Academy is an institution that empowers people with holistic money management skills. And as a financial coach, he guides people to evade the rat race that we spoke about earlier. His key specialty lies in personal finance education, so he's a financial coach. He's qualified as a chartered insurer and also a chartered marketer. He has been a corporate guest speaker and program facilitator for many years and has become a regular guest on TV and radio on matters of personal finance. He currently hosts a bi-weekly program on Radio Waumini known as Money Matters, and also runs a weekly e-newsletter known as Wallet's Words, where he discusses different aspects of personal finance. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Mr. Wahome Ngari. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Wahome, Father.
Thank you, Brian, and welcome everybody. What a joy this morning being together. I really appreciate the introduction. I'm very humbled. Just maybe want to add a line or two. I am a man. I am married to a woman who is a female. I am a father of young adults, and I'm very Kenyan, and I'm proud to be Kenyan. And this morning, we're going to have a good discussion, and we want to thank Absa and Zamara for putting this together, and this is to benefit ourselves. We'll be sharing the screen so that we can have a discussion coming together so that we can be able to follow in this discussion. And I want you to ease up, relax. We'll be talking about money. And I know money is exciting, it's very emotional, other than maybe politics and faith. I'm tempted to say sports and sex. Money is the other very, very emotional subject, and we're going to give it a go because once we put it in its rightful place, we can enjoy our life. So I'll ask the admin to allow me sharing rights so that we can share the screen. So you're welcome and you can chat. And if you think Zamara and Absa have done a great job, you can actually be able to express yourself on chat. You can say heckle to them. If they have been able to put this together, you can say heckle to them as we put up our screen. Admin, if you make me co-host, then I can be able to share.
Kindly confirm you're now able to share, Mr. Wahome.
Trying out. Thank you. I want to hear, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Okay. And I start at the end. I say, God bless you. So we have the faith that no matter whether it's technology, everything will work, and we'll be able to share the discussion this morning as we redefine financial wellness. That's what is our assignment this morning. We want to redefine financial wellness. And as I talk about financial wellness, I am actually talking about the relationship you have with your money. And it always ends up as three simple questions. And the three simple questions are you happy with the amount of money that you actually you're making on a monthly basis? That's the first set of the question. The second set of the question is, are you happy with where this money comes from? So that's the other set of the question I'll be asking ourselves. And I'm hoping the screen is now well visible as we redefine it. And as we've been told, this is a series that we are going to have. And the series is going to be two parts. So the second part, we're going to introduce it. But today we want to take charge of our finances. I think I've been introduced, so I don't have to go back into that introduction. I've worked in the financial services all my life. You'll be told I learned the Personal Finance Academy. Out of a lot of research, it's been found in this country that people want to have a relationship with their money, and sometimes they don't know how. And for the last 5 years, that's what we have been doing. I think it's also been mentioned, I share on media platforms. I run a bi-weekly program on Radio Waumini. And if you want to listen in, you're welcome. We have a YouTube channel, Personal Finance Academy Kenya, and you can find out what the discussion has been over the days. I might have come to your house without invitation on your TV, on any of these channels. Again, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can always be able to see what the discussion has been. In the recent past, I think with Family TV, we were looking at how we are going to survive with all these COVID-19 challenges around. And so I want to say karibu, and I want you to relax so that we can actually be able to learn together. So just relax so that we can be able to learn together. We are going to talk about money, because there's no way we are going to talk about financial wellness without talking about money. And I don't know from where you see it. What is money to you? When somebody says money, what comes to mind for you? What is money to you? I want you to think about it and maybe answer this in your heart. And if you want even to chat, you can chat. And when I went to school, my teacher was very mean, taught me many things and not about money. And when I actually asked many questions, they say it is a commodity for exchange. And that was technical. I could almost understand what they were talking about. And when I asked them to explain further, they say it is a legal tender. Now you can see how complicated it got. But over time, I've realized money is very many different things. Money is an enabler. It will enable me to be able to buy Monica a cup of coffee so that we can actually catch up. You know, it will help me with Brian so that we can be able to buy some property. It will allow me to be able to buy a medical cover. It is a catalyst. It doesn't get used up. And I know the money on the screen looks very appetizing. I'm not sure whether this is the one you've made and you have it secure somewhere, or this is the one you aspire to make. I know you have aspirations, but I want to say money is the standard measure of value. This is how, when you go look out for a job, you pitch and you are told this is how much we're going to pay you. You think it's not the right thing, you don't take up the offer. You think it's the right thing, you take up the offer. If you go to the market and you take your car to the market and you want to sell it, people will give you pricing. If you think they are giving you a good pricing, then you sell the car. If you think it is not. So money is a tool. It's actually a tool that allows us to have protection, protects us from the weather, protects us from hunger, protects us from sickness. But money also gives us power, the power to choose, and to be able to do the provisions in life. And that is why we say money is the currency of life. I know money can be an illusion. When we are working out to get a lot of it and we get it, we think the problems are sorted out. And sometimes problems just come from another angle. Yesterday, we were all shocked that Bill Gates and Melinda, they have all the money we can dream about. But somehow it's not working out. I don't know that it is in bed or in the sitting room. It's not working out somewhere. And so that's why sometimes money is just an illusion. So when we think we will have it all together and everything will be somewhere, something happens and it doesn't work. But I want to say the reason why we really work around money most of the time, it's not for its own sake. I think it is the feelings that it gives us, the emotions that it creates, the satisfaction that you feel when you have it, and you can be able to do the things you have. It gives you the feeling of choice. I can choose where to take my child to school, where to go to hospital, where to live, what car. So it gives me that a choice. It also makes it possible for me to express my love to those I love. On the Valentine, I can actually buy her a red dress and I can take her to a fine restaurant. You know, at the end of the year, I can take them for holiday. I have choice for those I love. I can take them to a good college. You know, it gives me the freedom from want. I am not going to be hanging out in a hospital without facility just because I don't have the money. So it gives me that freedom to do the things, and it gives me the empowerment. I can say yes, I can say no, because I have the money. And so that is why it is very, very important for us to be able to manage it, because once we manage it, we can actually feel alive. When you're in charge of your money, you feel alive. And in the course of the discussion this morning, we are going to look at those things that help us to feel alive around our money, and that's how we take charge of it. And I also want to hasten to say, this is where the money traps are laid for us. Because money is emotional, money traps are laid in that arena. And when you see hawking, they are actually trying to appeal to your emotions so that you can actually buy out of impulse. You see, you like, you buy. And when you go home, you curse because you're actually wondering, what did I even buy? Okay. And that's where the emotion side of things comes from. So for us to be able to have this discussion, I think we need to have some agreement that money is something, a tool we will have all through our life. There is no stage in life where we are not going to have money. And so because we don't want to run the rat race, and the rat race is very simple, us always looking for money, and when we think we have enough, we have the urge to look for more. We just need to take cognizance of simple facts of life. That through life, there are three things we will all have, but they will never come together: time, money, and energy. When you're young, you have all the time. Children have all the time. That's why they wake up at midnight just to play. And so adults have to control them, and we call it timetable. And when you're talking to children, you don't talk about time, you say timetable. And that is how you control their time. When you come in the working life where all of us are at the moment, it becomes something called deadline. You have a deadline for this, you have a deadline, and we are always chasing deadlines. And that's why we don't even have enough time to do things. You have struggled to be on this webinar because you have to schedule other things, and we are happy that you've done that. But let me say, when you get old, you're gonna create your definition of time, because you will have it in mountains. From morning to evening, it is not timetable, it is not deadline, you must create. And that's why this morning, the team from Absa Life and Zamara want you to plan for those days so that you can actually go on the cruise. Because when you're on the cruise, it doesn't matter. The sun will set anyway, and there will be people to take care of them. When we are young, we don't have any money, so we depend on other people's money. We'll talk about that. Now we are making the money. Now, when we get old, it is obviously we don't have the energy. And we cannot have two X's, because when you have two X's, you die quickly. And so we must make sure that we do our investments and we secure our money so that we can have it there. Just to help us understand that, why don't we look at what we call the graph of life? And this is how we all live. Now, it is three phases. Our life comes into three phases. And we're considering it at the point of birth, and we call it 0. And that first phase is called childhood. Okay, and that childhood is going to run for a season, but evidently, every cost we incur is going to be financed by our working adults. Somebody has to finance it, and that is why we are dependent. We only need to specialize in one word, I want. I think those are two words in any language. Whether I am going to cry, it's your business to find out what I want. When I throw a tantrum, it's your business. But somebody has to take care of that. Are we going to look at that in good detail? I don't know when childhood ends. Is it when the government gives us ID? Is that when you cease being a child? I doubt, because 21-year-olds are still dependent. It only comes to an end. In Nairobi, is about 25, some people extend it, but the time you move out. If you don't move out, even when you get 40, you're still a child. Why? Unadadia. I think that's the language I hear. You actually relying on your parents for one thing or the other. Okay? And when you come to the second phase of your life, it's called the working life. Now, in the working life, you are a dependent adult and you are earning your life. It might actually go to the point when the body simply says, I cannot do it. It could be your eyesight is failing or your faculties are failing, and it goes on. And I know a lot of people think it ends earlier. For a lot of people, it goes on. But there's something called pre-retirement somewhere where your employer says, we think you're not functioning well, and for what we pay you, we can actually pay 3 more graduates. So we are encouraging you to take this handshake and move on so that you can go into self-employment. So that's what we call pre-retirement. And we must be able to plan for those things so that now we can come to the last part. And the last part is what we call retirement. Retirement is when your body faculties can't work, you can't earn money, whatever age that is going to be. And at that point, you are either dependent on the investments that you created, or you will actually now become dependent on people who are working. And we're going to spend a bit of time to look at that, because we know there are specific monies in every of these stages, Okay, and if something is not done at the right time, it is going to come up later at another time. And so it is, that's why it is important for us to be able to think about this. And I want to see, you look out for yourself. I don't know whether you can see yourself. The ladies, don't look at yourself here, you will not be here. You might see your uncle, you might see your boyfriend, you might see your spouse, you see your father. That's the journey. That's the journey. I'm sure you've seen where you are. Okay, gentlemen, can we allow the ladies to see where they are? Here you are. Beautiful, strong, but you want to see the person at the head of the queue. That's where we are going one day. Now, when we need a third leg, and I think it should also be a very enjoyable place to be. So when you look at all these stages we are looking about, one, we must all admit we will be certified consumers. You will consume, and there are things you need throughout this whole journey. That's why you're a certified consumer. Food is going to be required, clothing is going to be required, healthcare is going to be required, you require movement, you require relaxation, you require shelter. You know, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we will all be requiring that. But your consumption is somehow dependent on the age, because young children have more consumption of healthcare because they get unwell. And for those of us in Nairobi, if you have young children, you get to know places like Gertrude Gardens Children's Hospital. You visit it much more, okay? And that happens a lot. When you come into your teenage years, this is the time you actually eat more because you want to grow. You can remember your days in teenagehood. A whole loaf of bread was just a joke. Now, if somebody asks you to eat 2 slices now, you start saying watching weight and all the other nice stories that we say, okay? And that happens all the time. And when you become a working person, now I know your bill for entertainment is big. Now, now the president has opened. So we are catching up where we left out. So we have a bit of entertainment. But when we get to seniors, when we become seniors, we'll actually even be selective on what we eat and what we don't eat. But we have to deal with old age issues, old age ailments. And when even the insurance don't look at us in a very friendly way. So we must have provisions to be able to do that. And so all these activities have to be financed, and a lot of times financed by a working adult. And I know you are working adult now. So it is time for you. And this is where Absa Life and Zamara come, so they can help us to know how do we prepare ourselves for these eventualities. So that along the way, there are things that are very, very important. We must be able to secure our income because we know there are vagaries of life, there are challenges of life, there are perils of life. Sometimes they are called unemployment, like COVID has just happened and caused. And that's why we need to have a war chest somewhere when we can handle contingencies like that. Sometimes we know the grim reaper, death comes. And when death comes, stops income. And that means somebody has to be able to take care of those others who are there. Disability, there's nobody who says it can't happen. It might happen out of an accident. It might happen out of a critical or dread disease, a long-term ailment. We know old age is going to come and we all want to grow old, okay? And so if we do not take action, there will be consequences. And this is where insurance and investment come in so that we can create other income streams. I want us to narrow down a bit. And if you have questions, you can put them on chat. We're going to look at them as we go on. I want to bring you to your foundation years because you may be there. We all passed here, I have no doubt. All of us are gone below above 10 years, but we might be back because we have children. You know the good things we do at night, bring them on. Now, when that happens, we have money issues that we're gonna deal with. Now, these people are money innocent, but I must confirm they are certified consumers. They will actually consume. They will demand from below day one. I know the ladies who are here, the gentlemen who are here, who have had a child, you know, long before they are born, we have expenses. Whether you're looking at the mother changing in shape and she has to eat stuff closer to soil and she has to go to a lot of prenatal care and all those things. She has to change her wardrobe. Morning sickness, we have to deal with. All those things are expenses, okay? And when these guys come, we have to take for maternity and all the other things. and they need parental support. And the beauty of it, we love them. They are not an accident, and they give us joy, and they give us reason to wake up in the morning. But they have no income. They play all the time. They have no work. Okay, and money is the business of their parents. It's not their business. That's the business of their parents. And because we dearly love them, then we have to deal with them. But they have a way of getting money out of us. They have a gift from God called pester power. They can cry, they can throw a tantrum, they can keep quiet at you until it is done. And that is how they are going to use their pester power to get things done. So we need to think about these guys. What are the issues that we need to take care of them? One of the things is we'll need to have hired caregivers, okay? And so we need the money to do that. Schooling is very key. This is when they're going to come to preschool and lower primary. They're going to have a lot of co-curricular activities. They want to play the piano, learn dancing, do poems, karate, sports, swimming, trips. We have to do toys. This is where you buy your PlayStation 5 that costs you some 65,000 shillings. They are wholly dependent on the parent. So what does that mean for the parent? Income security is very important. We must protect our income. And protecting our income means we must, one, create other income streams, and that's where savings come in. And the other thing is insurance is very, very key. We must have insurance because they are wholly dependent. Don't leave them in the desert. Take care of them. And they are going to grow and come to the next stage. They are going to be your lovely teenagers. Anybody from slightly above 10, I allowed the 12-year-olds to come in as teenagers here. This is the decade of discovery. And we are going to be very excited because now we know what money can do. We can actually go and buy chocolate and do all the other things. We are facing a lot of massive personal changes at this time. Our hormones are changing. We have estrogen, we have progesterone, we have testosterone. We have peer pressure from the others. We have need for money, but we don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't work. And we have a lot of graduation to do, rites of passage, things to do, graduate from primary to secondary. But it is our parents to be able to do things for us. More importantly, we have upper primary, which is likely to be a private school, which is likely to be boarding school. Then we go to high school and we go to college, okay? And this is going to cost money. We also have learned to have a taste for expensive things here. Now, when we go to the supermarket and we buy yogurt, we don't just buy Kawaida, Brookside. We want O, we want Bio. We want those things that might cost a bit of money, that are expensive. We love expensive clothing, expensive toys. We want PlayStation 4. We play expensive things. And we've discovered movies. We want data. We want to hang out in the malls. We have relationships. Now we have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, okay? But we are wholly dependent on our parents. We are dependent consumers. Again, you, the parent, must be able to do income protection and plan for our college, because college fees is going to be high. If you don't plan for college fees, we're going to have a problem. And don't plan for my college fee when I'm going to college. Please prepare earlier. I want to give you a warning. I'll go to college when I turn 18. So when I'm born, you have 18 years to be able to prepare for that. And I'm sure Absa Life and Zamara can be able to help us on that. So we need to have savings. We need to have budgets and all those things that help us there, so that now we can be able to go to the next season. And the next season, we are going to come to our 20s. And I know a few of us might be here, young, free, and single. This is where we start. And you can see we like being together. We like being many of us. And this is our college life. This is after college, the job search, the first job, when we start our friendships, okay? And we have work to do. Now we start making a bit of our money. So we're looking at college life. And what is college life? Other than books, it's a party, it's a road trip, it's a movies, it's a show. And this has got to be financed by somebody else, so that now we can be ready to do job search when we leave college. We have to care for our CV. We need a wardrobe. We will have to travel to look for a job. We need some data, some working tools. And eventually we have to move out now because we found a job. And we need to save because we have to raise a deposit. We have to pay rent. We have to buy furniture. We have electronics. we will now start with consumer goods. We have consumer goods that we have to deal with for our households. And so personal development is the other one, because now we found the reality in the job market that actually a university degree is not enough. A BCom is good, but if I had CPA, I think I'll be doing better. Now, the parent, that's yours to plan, and plan in good time, because that's going to happen. And this is where reality comes in. We have a friend, we have talked to them, wameingia box. Now we go and see the wazes. And the wazes have a way of shocking us. When they bring in their culture, and then they leave us to go and do the wedding, the biggest budget item that we can be able to do. And once we're done and we're happy with the honeymoon, chances are we will get a child coming out of what we do at the honeymoon, and the big budgets in life are going to start. And at this stage, we might be getting financial, we might be financial patient, we're getting support from the parents, but it's not going to run for long. We will find ourselves in what we call the expansion phase. And in the expansion phase, now we have other people in our life. We are looking at, we are expanding, and we are expanding in very, very many ways, career-wise, personal life. We have work, we have money, we have responsibilities, we have a growing family, we may be settled, we have a first child, we want to go to a bigger house, more furniture, more households, maybe a car, holiday parties, okay? And the second child is likely to come, and the third one. We are looking for career growth, so we might be moving job, but we also have to think about home ownership. We have to create investments. We want more income streams, and there's no doubt, for the first time, the expenses outstrip our income. And that is why in our 20s, we needed to start doing our investment and savings so that we can be here. Because when we find things are not working out, sometimes we make very radical decisions. We might change career, we might change residence, whether it's town or country, we might actually change something. And that is why it is important here now. We must talk about income protection. We have people depending on us. This is when we have to start preparing for these children, because they're going to go to college. This is the time we must start preparing for our own retirement, because that's very, very important for us. Now, the challenge is you have two incomes, and we have what we call the two persons dilemma. We're not like each other, and maybe we are not agreeing on the things that we're doing. This is where you want Zamara and Afterlife to actually sit down with us and help us to put together a financial plan. Why do we need a financial plan? Because the 40s are coming. And when the 40s come, we have to deal with the big budgets in our life. We establish in our careers, in our family, in society, but we have big budgets. What are these big budgets? The children are in college now, high school and college. This is the time to finish up home ownership. So we must conclude that. This is the time to make sure we have a platform for retirement, because retirement is not going to be very far away. Why? We have a lot of social responsibilities that we are going to be looking at. And retirement is not far, because when you're in your 40s, you've actually seen some people in the 50s going to retirement. So it is going to be there. And we want to take care we don't suffer midlife crisis. And this is where we think our peers are doing better than us. And so if you want to take care of that, we make a financial plan so that we're not getting ourselves into this confusion. And that's why financial planning is a must at that age. Because if we don't do it at this age, at the next level, things will be very, very tough. The emptiness, the children are gone. Age is showing up, whether we use anti-aging cream or we don't. Age is showing up, whichever way it is showing up, we can see it, okay? And this is what we call pre-retirement. And here we can be at different shades. It can be very, very many different shades. So it could be somebody who's been single all their life. It could be somebody who's been widowed. It could be people who are divorced. It could be people who have had children. But really, the children are in high school here. They're in college, or they are moving out. They are now doing what is called financial patience. And you can actually see why this ought to have been planned earlier. Here we need medical care, because it is very, very important for us as we focus on the next step. When I leave my job, what do I do? And that is why we need the other investment that we're doing on. That's why we need a pension scheme set up quite early. We need to expand our business. We might need a retirement home. So there are a couple of things. We are supporting others. We might be supporting aging parents, very common in our country. We might be involved in the community so a lot of money demands that are going to be there. Now, healthcare, very important. We're moving out of companies' healthcare program, and now life is at a point where lifestyle, old age issues start showing up, and we need to be careful for that, so that now we can go strong to the next level. So we have arranged for our healthcare arrangements, which are very paramount, and we want to go to the next level. We are on a new road again. Why are we on a new road again? Because we are not doing what we were doing. And so our active income, our ability to make money is slowed down. And so we have to rely on passive income from earlier investments, our pension scheme, our annuity, the dividends, the money we got from our insurance policy, the rentals, the business profits. And you see, now we also be on the road a lot of times. We are traveling. We have to go to see the world. We have to go and see the children. And then mothers hear you, great. You can actually be out there looking for your children all the years. So if you're a young man, prepare yourself. You might actually join the farming community in Kenya. The average age of a Kenyan farmer is 63 years. You might be able to join in here, but healthcare issues, very, very, very important. You have your thoughts ahead now, wealth distribution. We have heirs, we have people we need to hand over, but we also have to do personal care because there might be nobody to take care of us. We are citadel of experience. So this might be the time to write our memoirs, time to tell stories, time to counsel others, because now we are getting into the seniors place. And here we come as seniors. Now the journey continues. The body demands that we slow down completely. We're going to continue the things we were doing in the 60s. As we slow down, we will need hand-holding. The next generation has got to take care of us. So we need to have the investment so that we not be begging for money. We might ask them to do something for us here and there, but we have to think about long-term care. Very, very important. We are now the depositories of the wisdom of society and the country. And so we need to have a retirement with dignity. That's what we are looking at. When you plan well, when you do all these things, you will have retirement with dignity. And that is what is very, very important for us. So you can actually see that that's a long, long, long journey that we have to take. And I know all of us want to end up at this point. And because we want to end up at this point, we cannot do it all alone. And that is why I want us to start from where we are. And I want us to look at what we call our financial wellness. How are you feeling about the money? Looking at that journey that you have to go, and you've seen where you are and where you've been. How are you feeling about the money? There were 3 questions, if you can still remember them. Are you happy with the amount of money you're making? If the answer is no, the next question you say you have is, what can I do to be able to make more? Are you happy with what you're doing with the money, where the money is going? And if the answer is no, then we have to look at financial tools and systems to help us to go there. And part of it is planning, having goals. Part of it is having budgets, and those are all the things. And I want to say, if you look at this pyramid, this is how the society is in terms of financial wellness. And when you're looking at the very base of this pyramid, we have a lot of people who are fairly dependent. We start this way as children, and we have identified we depend on our parents and our caregivers. When you take out your first job, maybe your income cannot sustain you, so you go for financial handout from your parents. But along the way, we find that now going to parents doesn't sound exciting, and so we actually now depend on debt. And this is why some people in town are popular. The guy is called Fuliza, the guy is called Tala, and we have a few of their relatives. They tend to be popular because we depend on them. But that's always a difficult state where the month is always longer than the money. And the way to take charge is to say to yourself, there are 2 things I can do here. Can I be able to work on myself, personal development, improve myself, increase my income? Alternatively, can I be able to manage the income I have so that I have something left enough so that I have the opportunity to go to the next level, which we call solvency? This is where on a monthly basis, I can actually be able to pay my bills without a struggle. And if you're able to get to that point, I want to say the next thing we're going to see is how to secure ourselves so that we don't fall back. And in securing ourselves, we have to work for something called financial stability. And this is where we think about savings for contingencies. We think about having goals and planning for them. We think about having insurance to take care of things, medical insurance, accident insurance, so that should anything happen, we don't fall back. Because if we are able to get to that stability point, it becomes easier now for us to go into the area of investment. Before we get to investment, we must lay the carpet. And the carpet comes in actually security, contingency planning, insurance is planning, so that now we can be able to set our investments, so that now the investments we get into will be able to create revenue for us, which we call passive income. And with that passive income, we can live better because we have multiple income streams. I'm generating revenue, my investments are generating revenue. And when my investments generate more revenue than me, then it means we can actually be able to live on the resources that we're getting from our investments. The cash flow that comes from our investment is what is able to let us live. So even as I do the job, I am not chained to the job. I can go on holiday. Whether it's self-employment, whether it's unemployment, I have investments that are creating that if I don't think I like this job, I can have time to look for another one. That's what is called financial independence. You are independent from active income, from creating money for yourself, because your investments can create some money for you. And if you continue that journey, it allows you to go higher on the pyramid to what is called financial freedom. And financial freedom is what, in common parlance, we say people are wealthy, that your investments have grown to an extent that now you can live in comfort. You can have a home here in Nairobi, maybe you can have a holiday home in Mombasa. If you want to go to a place, the monies you're looking for is not a problem. You can have quality life. Because of your planning, you can send your children to a better college in one place or the other. And so if your financial freedom works and your investments keep growing, you can go to the apex. Not many people end up there though. Financial abundance. You have more than you actually can ever use. And that means you even secure the next generation. You actually take up from the point of faith where you can leave an inheritance for your children's children. That is abundance. But for us to be able to walk through these steps, we need somebody to guide us. We need planning. We need financial tools that can help us to be there. At the moment, I want to give you a small assignment at your own time just after this. You can actually go to that website. If you write it somewhere, you take out that test, and the test is going to help you to, in a more professional way, to actually decant your feelings so that you can tell where you are financially. This test is scientific. The results will be personal. They will come to you. Out of a scale of 0 to 100, you're going to get a score, and you're going to get an interpretation of that score, because we want to know, you might have been telling yourself you are the financial independent stage, but you have not put in the necessary infrastructure. One thing happening like COVID can throw you all down to dependency. When you hang on dependency for long, that's what we call poverty. And the challenge with dependency is not a function of the income. There are people who are earning 100,000 shillings, but their money cannot finish the month. There are people earning 500,000, but their money cannot finish the month. And so if your money cannot run the whole month, you still have the dependency, no matter the income. So if you actually do that test, it is going to help you to actually be able to get to a place where you understand yourself better and you can be able to plan. Why is it necessary to do that? Because somehow this is what happens in life. We find ourselves running the rat race all the time. If you think for a moment you're this person who is got a purple outfit, I mean a purple jersey, and the ostrich is anybody else chasing you for your money, you can actually start naming them. And I know there are many. If I start with the landlord, somebody who can be very menacing, they give you a deadline, and they give you consequences of a deadline. They structure it into a contract. Depending where you live, they can actually be, if you don't pay by this date, then whatever you owe becomes interest. Now, in some places, if you don't pay, they add another padlock to the door. I've seen in this country, there are places where they actually take away the door itself, or they actually take out the roof and they leave you to the elements. Now, the way to get out of this financial rat race is to plan. The other people can be school fees, and I know children are going to school next week. It can be mama mboga, it can be taxi, it can be loans, it can be government with their taxes, it can be Uber, it can be the girlfriend, it can be the boyfriend, it can be relatives, it can be children, it can be spouse. There are a lot of them. If you go to the bank, sometimes this is how it looks, and it feels very uncomfortable. When you have drawn the money at the bank, the guy is waiting for it. You actually wonder, why didn't they go to the bank themselves? Kenya Power, Nairobi Water, Mama Mboga, the bank loan, the hospital bill, all those things. And because it is not sustainable, if you don't do anything about it, we're going to run like this. And life was not created for learning. And this is where financial planning becomes very, very important and something that we need to look at. And it's not only at a personal level where we do planning. I know we Kenyans and we know the big four. Maybe this was before BBI or still on. At the national level, we have Vision 2030. That's our long-term objective as a nation. In the medium term, we have the big four. And this is what the government is looking at. So at a personal level, we have to think about the big five. And what is the big five all about? We have to think about our current commitments, our short-term goals, the things I want to do in 2021. Those are called short-term goals. And if you think about them, there might be things you want to do. Your child is going to go to high school this July, and you hadn't prepared for that. And so you might have to raise that money quickly. You have thought you want to upgrade your car, or you upgrade your phone, or you buy a laptop now that we have to do things virtually, or you're going to move house. Those have to be done now. They cannot wait for more. Then you have medium term, the things you want to do in the next 5 years. You have said in the next 5 years, you want to upgrade the car, you want to buy a property, you want to send your child to high school, you actually want to take a degree or another qualification. Those are medium term. But we have long-term goals, and long-term goals are things that will take us 5 years and more from when we start thinking about them. And in those five, you have the big five. And normally when we say the big five, people think about the animals. I want to run away from the animals. The big five are the 5 big financial items that will cost you a lot of money in your life, and they are better off planned for. They are better off planned for. And let's start with the first one, personal development. We want to better ourselves. And in bettering ourselves, we will find we might have to buy a car. And you know, every 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, we will have to get another car because a car cannot run for us. In personal development, I have a bachelor's degree, and I found it is necessary to have a master's degree or to have a professional qualification. In personal development, I have seen the need to start a side hustle, to have another business that I can be able to run. In personal development, I eventually want to have this block of flats or this apartment. And that's a long-term journey that we cannot be able to achieve in a day. And in doing that journey, we need to have vehicles that can help us to achieve it. And vehicles that there'll be savings and investment vehicles that can help us to achieve it. And as we achieve those things, we need the protection that is necessary, because we say they are vagaries of life. Accidents can happen, diseases can happen, death can happen. And remember, these personal development goals may not be personal. They might be at the family level, and you want to secure the family, whatever happens. So this is one area that will cost you a lot of money, because this is something that you do all your life. I've worked in Zanzibar, and they taught me some Kiswahili, and they actually used to say, hujafa, hujaubika. What does that mean? If you have, as long as you live, you can improve yourself. And so that is the journey we call personal development. There are a lot of things that you need to, and that's why you need financial tools, and you need to improve. Even with COVID, we cannot be where we were last year. We must get better. And there are many dimensions of getting better. Could be your knowledge, you want to better your knowledge. Could be your skills, you want to better your skills. It could be your networks. You found it necessary that Now with all these closures, you're working from home, but occasionally you want to join the members club. And so you need to have a program of savings so that you can join the members club or join the gym. That's what personal development is all about. And this is going to be one of the big ones. If you count it over life, it's going to cost a lot of money for you to be able to get there. Now, the other one is home ownership, shelter, a place to live in. Why? Because from the day you left your parents, aged 25, like we said earlier, if God grants you life and you live to be a century, then you have 75 years to pay rent. That sounds almost obscene. And so what's the other alternative? The other alternative is to own a home. And home ownership is expensive, but home ownership can be planned. And so you can actually get into a savings product, maybe an endowment policy. You raise the deposit, you go look out for a mortgage. You can join another investment vehicle so that you're able to borrow. And this is what is going to give you the freedom to live your life, so that then you're not at the mercy of the landlord, shifting school all the time, shifting churches all the time, shifting neighborhood, losing your friends with all this. And you know what? If you don't live in the house, somebody else is going to live in it and pay you. But this is one of the big five. It costs money, and it is good that you plan and you plan for it. And so, and it's a whole lesson of home ownership planning. We don't have the time now. At a different venue, we can be able to look at home ownership planning. And I know the other one is these guys, lovely people. And I said, as long as you did that adult business and they came into life, and you know, we've been treated to a bit of drama, I think last week, these guys need attention. And one of the things that they cost you a lot is the education. Why? Because if you think about it, we say they are child from birth to 25. In those 25 years, 20 of them will be spent in school. 20 of them will be spent in the school system. And so you can imagine from when they join a kindergarten, PP1, to when they graduate with the first degree, that's a 20-year journey. But it's going to cost you money, and it's going to be substantive. It is more substantive at the tertiary level. More substantive at the tertiary level. Because I know you have dreams and you have aspirations. And for those of us who are parents in this group, in this call this morning, I want you to think about your child. If you have a child below 18, in fact, you can write down their name somewhere on a piece of paper. What is their age now? For example, we can take a child who is 2 years, give them a name. And I'm told a cool name in town now is, I'm not sure, I'm looking for a cool name. Years back, it was Kevin, then Brian. I'm not sure what is a cool name now that we can actually be able to give a child who is 2 years. And the next thing is, if they are 2 years, I want you to see that before they turn 18 to go to college, you have 16 years. Those are 16 years for preparation. You need to prepare for college. Now, I want you to start thinking about your child. If it was within your powers, what would you want them to become as an adult? Doctor, engineer, insurance, farmer, what is it? And in fact, you can write it down there. And so that you now start your education planning. And your education planning is 4 things. You need to identify the aptitude of your child. What are they likely to go into? Because if your child is extremely talkative, don't make them an accountant. They will always miss out the numbers. Take them to a career where they'll need the talking, like marketing. If they are so meticulous, maybe they'll go into medicine. So that's the first thing. Now, once you identify what is it that they are likely to be, then you have to be able to think through what education system will allow them to get there. And we have many education systems in this country: CBC, 844, GCE, IGC, IB, and many others, okay? Once you pick the education system, you need to think about the schools. What schools are offering that? What colleges will offer that course? Because if they want to be a pilot, then we don't take them to the university, we take them to the school of flying. And today you start asking yourself, what is the cost? What will it cost me to be able to put them there? And this is 16 years to come, so you have to think about something called future cost. What will it cost in the future? And once you're able to get those numbers, now you can be able to ask yourself a question: how do I prepare myself? And I want to be honest, this is where Zamara and ABSA come in, because they will help you now work out to see how much do I set aside every month so that my child can be able to get there. That's what education planning is going to be. I don't know what you want them to be. I just want to give you an idea of what it costs. In Kenya today, if you want a child to study medicine, and when they actually resort out, I always hear them saying they want to be neurosurgeon, they want to be a cardiologist. Now, this is what it costs to study the Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. This is the first 6 years of study. This is public university here in Kenya. When you're on the parallel program, okay, self-sponsored program, and this is tuition fee alone. There are other attendant costs like hostels, equipment, food, and all those things. So you can obviously see it is an expensive exercise. And this is not going to be afforded by loans. You can't be borrowing that money. And this is the cost now. We're looking at your child of 3 years when they actually turn 18, 16 years from now. That's going to be big. But I want to urge you, don't give up on them. Don't let them not have their dreams light. The beautiful face is my daughter. And I say to myself, when she was a baby, I will actually be able to do what it takes to help her to go through her program. And yes, she has her 2 degrees now. And it was easier because insurance policies came into play. And so I want you to start looking favorably at that, because that can be able to help you. If you didn't plan in time, there are other things that can be able to help you. I mean, that's another whole topic. And that's why I'm saying, if you can take your time and talk to ABSA Life or talk to Zamara, they walk you through that journey. They can actually help you to calculate, because we still have a few other things to do. And one of the other things that we want to do is prepare for retirement, because retirement is not a choice. It is going to come. And I said retirement is that place where if you're given a report and you even own the business, you bring in the book closer, you can't read it. You're taking it far, you can't read it. Eyesight is failing you. If eyesight is not your problem, maybe it is the hand is shaking, you cannot sign. And when you see this sign, there is going to be no turning back. It's going to be no turning back. And retirement is something that can be expensive, because I said you have all the time. We have to think about old age issues. We have to think about critical illness. We have to think about supporting ourselves. And if you think about it today, if on average you spend 500 shillings to feed yourself, and you actually multiply that by 365, because those are the number of days in a year, you will actually notice that within the last 1 year, you have consumed 182,500. That's what you've consumed now. And I'm averaging out. I know there are days when we fast, like now, this Ramadan, but when we open fasting in the evening, we actually make up for that. The Christian fraternity, you just come from bread, and I know you're fasting or you're dropping meat out of that. Now, if you think 182,000, I want you to think about that from your age of 70 to your age of 100, another 30 years. If you multiply that number by 30, and don't get scared by numbers. Now, if you multiply that by 30, I want you to think about it this way. You will have to multiply by 2 because of your spouse. You say, till death do us part. So you eat together. You have to multiply that number again by 2 for healthcare. Unless you have bought a medical insurance, you have to take care of healthcare. And in the end, you have to factor in inflation. And you'll be surprised how much money we are talking about. This is better planned early. And don't trust that your employer pension scheme is adequate. You might need to supplement it. And that's why you need Zamara and ABSA to sit with you to actually project upward to see how much do I need. And so how much do I set aside now? Because on your employer pension scheme, you can do additional voluntary contribution. Alternatively, you can take another, you can take an endowment to be able to do top up for that. So this is important. And as we see, government has no way of helping you. If you're waiting for government to help, I'll tell you, government is happy to help you. They give you 2,000 shillings per month. It's you to decide. I think it's called Inua Jamii. It is you to decide, is it food, is it airtime, is it medicine? Don't wait to depend on your children. And honestly, Don't hope NSSF will pay your bills. This is something we have to do. And what are we going to do it from? You might have to take an annuity, a pension scheme, your real estate investment, okay, your business where you're not involved, all those things. And financial planning, retirement planning is looking ahead, saying, how much time do I have before I get to the point of retire? Okay, what are the things I'm going to do? What are the expenses I will have to have? How much preparation am I doing now? Is there a shortfall? What else can I be able to do? If you want to have that discussion, you are told by Zamara and Absa Life, they have the experts to help you out in that area. And as I come close to the end now, hey, let's not make it all serious. Sometimes we need a break. We need a break. And we need a break sometimes to plan, sometimes to, ease up. We want a time to bond with the family. You know how busy we are. We live at night. We need to bond. And that's why we want to suggest, let's have a break once a year at the very minimum. I know they have opened the boundaries, now we can, but it's going to cost. And if you go Mombasa this year, you're likely to say, okay, let's try Malindi next year, the Lamu year after, then Zanzibar, after Zanzibar, Seychelles, Mauritius, Dubai, we go to Spain. If you look at that over a long period of time, it's going to cost you money, but it's a good thing to do. Life is for living. Don't make it dull. Prepare for this. And that's why Absa and Zamara have savings products that can actually help you to prepare for this. Because enjoy your life when you can. Don't wait to take a break when you turn 80. You might be asleep the whole day. You will never see the beauty of the world. And if they take you to places where there are challenges, if you want to do your pilgrim that time, you will not have the energy to do the pilgrim. If you go to, if you're Christian and you want to do pilgrim and you go to Mount Sinai at that age, you cannot be able to climb half the mountain. So take this as a lifestyle, plan for it every year, and it is going to be enjoyable. And as you've seen, it is not you alone, it is you with all these people. And managing your income effectively is actually taking charge, is making sure that if you are the one bringing the paycheck, you have found a mechanism how you're going to be able to work together. And because we don't have time today, when we meet next time, we want to actually be able to say, how can we be able to protect what we have? How can we reinforce what we have? How can we take care of the things we have? What are the traps laid out? Is it the debt? Is it the risks? Is it the fires? How can we reinforce that? And that's what is going to be our discussion next time we come, so that we do not find ourselves with this gap. We want to lay a small bridge here, so that when we are walking to the next level, we don't fall in. So we'll be looking at the next series of this discussion. We'll be looking at protecting what we own, and we'll be having the discussion on those things. And not today, from what we've discussed, you have a feeling why you must be able to take charge of your money, why you have to set goals, what are the many things that need to be done. This man has given us great advice. Never depend on a single income. And that's why we are asking you, save so that you can create a second source. And the tools that will be introduced to you, one, they can protect what you have, and two, they can help you to go into the next one. A gentleman here who had great influence on a lot of people said education is the passport for the future. This subject of personal finance is not taught in schools. And that is why we actually have to do something about it, so that we prepare for the future. You can read books, and I've actually put 2 books here. And I don't know which one you've not read and which ones you've not read. Reading books is good, but maybe working with others is even much better. And that's why we have a program where we actually allow you to work. If you want to know more about this program, just go to the website. You get to know more about the program. It comes with coaching. You get into like-minded people, and you're able to look at things together. So I want to stop here. Then I want to say thank you very much. I know it's been a long discussion, and you've been patient. I've seen the questions coming. But from here, I think I want to invite Brian, so that he's able to moderate the questions for us. Don't forget to do that test. I think it's an important one for you at your own time. It is personal. And those are the contacts. So as you ask your questions, don't ask how can we reach you. That one is already answered. So Brian, I think I've answered an obvious question. I'll be happy to deal with the other questions, but I'm very, very grateful for the audience. I think you've been patient and you listened, and I know you have benefited from this. So thank you very much. Brian, I think I give you a chance now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Home. Indeed, that was very educative. We had a planning session, and I didn't know or realize that I'm going to learn as much as I have. So thank you very much. I will not belabor the points that you have raised because I think they were very coherently put. Indeed, we have been receiving a lot of interaction with the attendees in the chat box and also the Q&A session. And some of the questions that have come in that I would implore you to respond to. There's someone who's asked if we are able to repeat the +50 age group. So if you're able to do that in brief in terms of the life journey at that point and what the expectation is in brief, so that you can move on to the next question. Back to you, Mr. Home.
Thank you. I think we can do that with and without moving the slides. I think that will make it easier for us when we're looking at the people who are in their 50s. Like I said, the 50s is what we call pre-retirement. Pre-retirement, not necessarily because you're not working for the employer, because you still have the energy to be able to work. And I said, it's normally called the empty nest because that's when the children start moving out. Age shows, it could be a bit of white hair, it could be a bit of wrinkles that are denying the anti-aging clip. And so we need to focus at the end of careers. If you're a medical doctor, you're likely to be phasing out. If you're an industrial worker, you're likely to be phasing out. And so, and there could be different people. You could have been single all your life. You could be widowed. You could be divorced. You could be still two people with children or no children, okay? And so we're looking at your children are now either in high school or they are in college or they've just started working. And if they've just started working, all those groups have what we call financial outpatient. So you're facing big fees and you're facing financial outpatient. Financial outpatient is supporting your adult children to start off in life. And by the way, setting up a financial arrangement is a good thing so that when they come to that side, you even have the money to start them off. And so if you're thinking about insurance, that can be. And so you are focusing on a few things. You want to increase your retirement savings. You want to restructure your investments. You're going to either get into business if you're never in business, okay? Or you're building or purchasing a retirement home, and you might find yourself supporting aging parents or supporting other people in the community. What's key? Think about your healthcare arrangements because you're unlikely to have health insurance after that, and the body is requiring attention. I don't know that that has answered the question, Brian.
Yes, you have, Mr. Home. Thank you so much for that. I believe that that has been sufficiently answered. Thank you very much to the attendees. We are receiving a lot of questions and we will endeavor to ensure that we answer all of them. So I'll handle Mr. Home's questions first in order of first in, first out. And a question came in. What is the general rule of thumb for from your personal experience? Sorry, let me get that again. What is the general rule of thumb for your personal expense allocation? For example, what will be a good percentage for rent and utilities? I think what they want is a breakdown of how to run their expenses.
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. Normally, I don't come from a percentage background, and I'll explain to you why percentages don't work. We have two men, both age 35, working for the same employer, earning the same money. One has a family with 4 children, the other one is single. Now, how do I tell them that they have a percentage for rent and their demands are different? How do I tell them they have a percentage for maintaining the family and their percentages are different? These percentages are dependent on your circumstances. When I'm dealing with a 26-year-old who is actually still living with mom and dad, they don't have rent to pay. But there's another 26-year-old who is actually paying rent because they are on their own. So I don't believe in the percentages. And this is where in life you might require a financial planner or financial coach to work in your personal circumstances so that then you can see what is appropriate for yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Home. I think that's very clear. We're receiving a lot of questions. Keep going. For those who have raised their hands, kindly note you may not be able to voice out your question or query. So please write it down in the chat box and we will definitely respond. We're also receiving a lot of compliments on the excellent presentation that has been done by Mr. Home. So thank you for that. Another question that came in, this is a bit of a lengthy one. In expansion and heavy duty phases, a great majority have much lower income to balance solvency and stability. So how do they prioritize investments, i.e. investing in properties versus investing in insurance? Any insights?
What we actually do is we need to, it's very important, set the goals. Short term, medium term, long term. When you set the goals, in every category, prioritize them. Prioritize what's more priority, okay, in each category. And don't focus on all of them. Focus on the top three. Long term, number one. Medium term, number one. Short term, number one. Now, when you focus on that, it is important to ask yourself, what investment vehicle can take me there? If my number one long term is to save for my child because I want them to take an engineering degree, then I'll tell you without doubt, a shadow of doubt, for my 2-year-old, the insurance policy is the best vehicle. Why? Because 1, it is for savings. 2, it has a tax advantage. 3, I'm in a common pool, so the returns will be very good. 4, it comes with protection. Even if I was not there, the child will still go to college. And I can actually be able to align it to my child's duration. And it doesn't require a lot of money. I can put in retro money over time. So that can serve me that way. But there might be something else. My medium-term goal is I want to go to France for holiday with the family. Now, an insurance policy may not get me there because I'm looking at 3 years. So I might need to look at something else. Now, the reason why we sometimes say you need a financial coach or planner is so that they can help work out with you and you see what vehicle do I use. All the investment vehicles are not created for all purposes. Each vehicle has a definite purpose that it can help you to achieve. What the insurance policy will allow you to achieve is not what the pension scheme will allow you to achieve. What the circle allows you to achieve is not what the unit trust will allow you to achieve. So it is important to understand the vehicles are created for different investments. But when you invest, do a goal-oriented investment. Invest in the vehicle that can allow you to achieve the goal. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Ahomi. Very well put. We are receiving additional questions. The next question that will be for you will actually be a comment that someone has already done the test, and they're very thankful for that. The other thing probably is to kindly repost the book titles you mentioned.
Okay, I don't know, I need to repost them or just need to say them. They are simple, easy books. You can remember, you guys have great memory. The first one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And let me be honest, this book should have been made compulsory in class 6. Now just think about it. If I had a way with the curriculum, would make it compulsory in class 6. Why? Because that book teaches us the difference between liabilities and assets. That book introduces us to something called cash flow quadrant. Very, very important to understand this. The second book is The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon. You can get an audio copy, you can get a e-copy, you can actually get a book copy, and that book will teach you many things about money, including the rules of money. But more important for me, it will teach you how you can live on 70% of your current income without changing your lifestyle at all. And you will have the 30% available for saving and investment. So Brian, I'm sure that way we can Google and get the books.
Thank you very much. I think we got the books as requested. There is someone who's actually asking if it is possible to provide names of financial planners that you can recommend. Right now, and here I would recommend Mr. Ahomengari. So you already have one of the best financial coaches and planners, I believe, on the call. So feel free to take advantage. He has provided his contact details. Feel free to reach out directly. So there someone who's asked about, we have guaranteed fixed income like government bonds. Why should I choose insurance over an infrastructure bond, which is tax-free and paying up to an interest of 12%? I will allow Mr. Wahome to take that and also invite Eric to briefly also mention on that after Mr. Wahome.
Thank you, Brian. A government infrastructure bond is a debt to the government. You're loaning your government money, so you stop complaining that government is borrowing from China, you lend it to government yourself, okay? It is a very good investment. It's very secure investment because you're lending to the Republic. The Republic will pay you whenever it is due. Now, when you have a bond, every 6 months, you will actually get a portion of your guaranteed return, okay? Now, if you get into an infrastructure bond, you will not even pay interest on the bond. That's how the bond works. But you need the money on day one. Minimum 100,000. Now, if you don't have 100,000, then how do you get into that? Now, insurance is going to help you this way. You don't have 100,000. All you have is 10, 15, 20,000, and you want to actually accumulate it over time. Because what the bond does, the bond assumes you have the money, and so it is called capital preservation. You're preserving the money that you have. Now, the insurance policy will serve a different purpose. Why? Because, like I said, it will allow you to put little money over time. You put it in a pool, whether you give it to Zamara or you give it to ABSA, they will actually put it in a pool. They go and buy a bond with other people, put it in other investments, and they will actually diversify. So that if the other investments give you a return, you get a higher return. Now, the insurance policy will come with something unique that the bond doesn't have. Protection, the cover. That if you are not there, the purpose for which you are saving, like your children's education, it will be actualized because the money will be paid. Now, the insurance policy will also come with a tax advantage because there's premium waiver. There's a waiver on the premiums that you pay. So again, like I said, different investment vehicles serve different purposes. What the bond will serve is not what the insurance will serve. They are different things. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. You want to chip in?
I think Mr. Wahome has done justice to that question. To summarize, is two elements. One, that the lump sum element or the ability that you can pay the insurance policy in small bits vis-a-vis the infrastructure bond that will require a lump sum payment. The protection aspect as well. One of the things about insurance, like an education policy, is the purpose for which it was intended is never compromised. So in the event of death or disability, one, there is a life cover that the individual gets. Then there is a waiver of premium that guarantees that the dependents and the next of kin no longer have the requirement to continue putting aside the money, but the intended purpose for which the policy was taken up, that is going to be ensured that it happens. So the guaranteed element of it gives a better perspective to it, but as Mr. Wahome has said, they both serve different purposes. So it will be good to see how do you leverage on both the strength of an infrastructure bond and the strength of an insurance policy. Thanks, Brian.
Just want to add something, Brian.
Yes.
On the taxation side, on the infrastructure bond, you can get it tax-free sometimes, not all the time. When you're paying your insurance premiums, your contribution, you get a tax reprieve on a portion. When you eventually get your money at the end of the contract, it's tax-free, all of it, tax-free, all of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wahome. There's a comment that has just come in on someone who is very happy, participated in season 15 of your trainings at Citadel on personal financing, and they have continued to use the strategies that you taught them. So that is a compliment to you.
Thank you to that person. Thank you to that person. We are now in season 31. We actually just starting. So if you want to join season 31, even if you just want to come and see, we'll give you a chance to have a peep. Tonight we have the class. So if you want to come, that number and somebody will get in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll definitely share that number again just before we conclude. The next question I'd like to invite Monica to respond to. Someone has asked, what is offered with an education stroke endowment cover? What is offered within an education stroke endowment cover?
All right, thank you very much, Brian, for that question. And I think Mr. Wahome has spoken so much on the education policy and the benefits that one can reap from it. So I'm simply going to try and demystify what an education policy is. Because I know most of our clients, most of the prospects that we're always talking to regarding the education policy usually have a slight difficulty in understanding how it works. Also, for those that already have these education policies, you might find that most of them do not even know what it entails. All they know is that I contribute a certain premium either on a monthly or an annual basis, and at the end of a certain period of time, I'm expecting a lump sum. So in simple terms, an education policy, it's an endowment policy, and what an endowment policy simply means is that it can be used to serve more than one purpose. So basically, an education policy acts as a life protection cover for the policyholder, and it can also, just like Mr. Wahome said, it can be used as a savings tool for a given period of time, so that the policyholder acquires a certain amount at maturity. So being a savings tool, it can help the policyholder realize that lump sum at maturity. Now, the main reason for these education policies is obviously to save for the future education of your children. But now, since we mentioned that it's a type of an endowment policy, it does not limit it to that particular purpose only. So it can be used to cater for, future goals. So it can act as a retirement plan for some people. In future, when one wants to purchase a house, you can use it because you've been saving over a period of time. And it can also act as a loan collateral for future. So the benefits that we can get from an education policy, there are quite many. But I would like to maybe just mention 3 benefits that most people ask, and most people find it so difficult to understand when it comes to this particular policy. So the first one is on the death benefit. So most clients or most people that we engage usually ask, what happens when me as the policyholder passes on? Does it mean that the premium that I've been contributing over time gets lost? Does it mean that the future of my child or my future plans have been jeopardized? So to simply answer this in very simple terms, is that when it comes to death, as the policyholder, when you pass on, it does not mean that your future plans or the plans that you had for your children will end with your passing on. So what actually happens, and I'm going to use the education policy for ABSA as an example, what happens when you die with this particular policy? So the benefits will start tripping off immediately. So as soon as you die, number one, the ABSA is going to give you 10% of your sum assured. So assuming that your sum assured was, let's say, 500,000, your beneficiaries are going to get 10% of that in the event of a death, so that they can cater for your burial arrangements. Then after that, what happens? Your cover is going to continue till the end of maturity. How does that work? Maybe people are asking, so how does that cover work and I'm gone? Who's going to be paying the premiums? So ABSA are going to come in, they're going to waive the premium. I think Mr. Wahome also mentioned that bit. They are going to waive that premium, and the policy is going to run till the end of maturity. So when it hits maturity, it means that your plans are not jeopardized. Your kids are still going to enjoy whatever it is that you had planned for them. Now, the second thing that we also get is on disability. So people are asking, okay, fine, if I get into an accident and then I'm totally and permanently disabled, so I cannot contribute towards these premiums. What happens? So in this case, it happens the same as the death benefit, only that this 10% that was being paid to your beneficiaries to cater for your burial arrangements is going to be paid to you as the policyholder, because now your life has completely gone into a standstill. You cannot do anything. So this amount of money is paid to you so that it can help you, just fill that gap that has been caused by you being permanently and totally disabled. So again, waiver of premium is going to kick in. ABSA are going to waive that premium, and your policy is going to run till the end, till maturity. Your plans will not be jeopardized in any way. And then the other benefit that we also get a lot of questions on is on the surrender benefits. So what we mean by a surrender benefit is let's say you've been saving for 5 years. Your term is supposed to end after 10 years. And then all of a sudden, you cannot get, maybe you lose your job. The happenings of life happen. So you lose your job, you have no source of income, or you've been saving and then something comes up along the way and you really want to use this money. So you want to cancel this particular policy. So it means you want to surrender that policy. So what happens in this case? So we have two scenarios. They're both dependent on the time that you've been saving. So if the first scenario is if you've been saving for 1 to 3 years, so less than 3 years, then ABSA are going to come in and pay you 50% of the premium that you've been saving. But if you've been saving for more than 3 years, you're going to be given your accumulated premium plus benefits and interests that have accrued. So those are the main three areas where we get a lot of questions when it comes to education policy. So on the death benefit, disability benefit, waiver of premiums, and also on the surrender benefits. But just to mention the other benefits that make this product also very, very attractive is that it is not biased. It's a very budget-friendly policy, and it's for everyone. And the reason why I'm saying it's for everyone is because the sums assured range between 100,000 to 5 million. So it doesn't lock anyone out. It's all dependent on your budget, all dependent on what you want as the policy holder. And then the other thing is that in terms of eligibility, again, it doesn't close people out. The ages are between 18 to 60 years and no medicals required. So I think most of us, or most of you who have purchased insurance, most of these insurance products, we are required to get to go for medical tests. And then based on the results of those medical tests, then your premium is going to change. So if you're having maybe a condition, a pre-existing condition, then your premium is going to be loaded. But with these particular products, all premiums are standard. Whether you're 18 years, whether you're 25, whether you're 55, premiums are all standard. And then some of the other things that also are come with this product is what Mr. Wahome mentioned. So there's tax relief, depending on your policy terms. So you get tax relief on your premiums, and then you can have as many beneficiaries as possible. You can have a maximum of 10 beneficiaries within one policy. So in my view, if you have a product like this, where the end goal is always about the policyholder, what the client wants, what budget they want, how much they want to contribute on a monthly basis, how much you want to contribute on an annual basis, it's all dependent on the policyholder. And the moment you have such a product, I think it's it's a good product for a policyholder to have, because number one, in terms of life protection, the way you said, you can be able to plan ahead for your children, for your family, or for any other eventualities that might happen in the future. So in terms of, I think we also have several questions where we've been asked if we have education policies. Yes, we do distribute this education policy, of course, in conjunction with ABSA, and we're going to share our email addresses and our cell phone numbers. So for anyone who's interested, they can always get back to us for further conversations.
Thank you very much, Monica. Very well expounded and in very good detail. As a follow-up to that, I would like to invite Eric to respond to a question that has been raised on what are the monetary benefits and interest levels of the education policy.
So in terms of monetary levels, any investment plan has basic rules. One, what is your sum assured? What are you selecting as your sum assured? What is the term, the length of time you want to be investing, as well as what are the matrices you're putting in place for protection for in terms of future value of money. So what we have done with the education plan, as Monica has elaborated, is that the terms are from 5 years to 18 years. So the longer you invest, of course, the higher your investment, the lower your cost in terms of premium. You can choose an option of either 5% or 10% for premium escalation, which gives you also the benefit of increasing your sum assured every other year as your premium is increasing. Similarly, in terms of how you choose the liquidation of your policy in terms of your maturity benefits payout. A longer payout, of course, goes further to reduce your cost and increase your benefit. A quicker or a faster period of liquidation increases your cost. So all these are factors that are inbuilt in terms of determining what becomes your return on investment. It becomes a bit biased to state a figure on return because the elements and the factors that each client will select will be different, and the scenarios as well will be different. So it will be good once we engage one-on-one or you send a specific client or question, then we can give you an illustration which will give you an end result specific to the last cent of what becomes your maturity benefits, and there goes getting your return on investment percentages. Thanks, Brian.
Great. Thank you, Eric. I think that just goes to show how customizable this product is. And feel free to reach out to us separately. We have our team engaging on chat and also on Q&A. Some questions have already been answered there. So we'll try and tackle the questions that have not been addressed yet. And one has come in. I think this will go to Wahome. Why will someone go for money market fund and not unit trust funds, or vice versa? And where does individual retirement fund fall as far as investment is concerned? And before he continues, I'd like to say that most of this will be covered in our second episode. So it's very important that you will subscribe also and wait for that. Proceed, Mr. Wahome.
Thank you. I'll start with the unit trust and the money market. And let me just by stating that money market unit trust is just a kind of a unit trust. What's a unit trust? Now, this is an investment in a pool where investors give the money to somebody to go and invest it on their behalf. So when you join in, you buy a unit, and a unit is like a share. That's the way they are priced, okay? And how do you gain out of this? The share price or the unit price goes up or down depending on the performance of the fund. Now, when the money is invested, there are different places where it can be invested. If you want your money to be invested for a short period of time, you want the money to be secure, and you just want an investment return, just like I say, to preserve your capital, you go to the money market. So what will the fund manager do? They will invest your money in a money market. What's the money market? Government securities, bonds and bills, and fixed deposits. Now, you might want your money to actually go into shares. You don't have the time to buy the shares yourself. And so you get the fund manager and you tell them, me, I want my money to go into the shares market. So you will actually be having an equities unit trust. So it's going to be an equity fund. You might not be very concerned where they want to invest it. You just want some return. And normally they can tell you, okay, what we're going to do, we are going to give it to invest it across the board anywhere. That's where you get what we call a balance fund. Now, what does a unit trust do for you? It gives you the opportunity to get into investments where you don't have the expertise or you don't have the time. You may not require a lot of money. You might require a little money. You can put a single installment or you can put little money over time. What is it going to help you? It's going to help you to do a lot of things. Your short-term goals, your medium-term goals can easily be addressed from there, but it's unlikely to be addressing your long-term goals. So it serves well when you're looking at medium-term and short-term. So if you don't have the time or you don't have the expertise to go into investment, trust a fund manager to do the investment for you. Now, the other question I think was on personal pension. Now, retirement is something that's going to come. If God grants you life, we said, you're going to get to that point. And I said easily, it might be the faculties give up and you can't even look for a job. And even if it was yours, you're a HR director, you can't hire yourself because you're looking at a document, you can't see it, you're trying to put it far away, you can't see it. Your hand is shaking, even if the company was yours, you cannot sit in the office. So you must go into retire. But when you go into retire, you still a certified consumer. You need food, clothing, you have bills to pay, you have healthcare to take care of. Where is the money going to come from? So if you have an employer scheme, that's one source, not the only source, that's a possible one source. If you do not even have an employer scheme, you set up your own scheme. And that is where personal pensions come in. And so you can go to Absa Life, you can go to Zamara, you have a discussion, and they help you to set up one. You can be in an umbrella scheme, or you can be in a personal scheme. But all those schemes are for financing your retirement, because we want to retire in dignity. If you want to retire in dignity, what does that mean? You will have your own money. You would rather be sending people around, but you have your own money. But waiting for the fall, hoping somebody will send the money, that's indignity. It shortens life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ohome. That was very well put. Questions are coming in. We will continue to answer the questions, as many as we can. So feel free to continue putting them in. So someone has asked how different Absa education policy is from all the other that we have in the pushing as Zamara. And it's very important to note that we have quite a number of other partners that we work with, and feel free to reach out to us directly so that we may be able to respond to that inquiry. A question to be sent to be answered by Eric. As a single individual, can I procure an endowment or education cover? Kindly proceed with that, Eric.
Thanks, Brian. Indeed, it is possible to procure the endowment or the education policy in as much as you do not have children of your own at the moment. What we will require is just to name a child, either a niece, nephew, or grandchild, but this can always be amended when you have your own children. The reason we are saying that is because the child who is being named in this education policy is not the one who is covered for the life benefits. The life benefits are purely to the policy holder. It's only as a product rule that we require you to name a child into the policy. But as I said, amendments can be done at any time, at any point, without any charge and without any cost. Maybe even as a follow-up to that is to mention that the proceeds of the same will go to your account, and we will not require you to provide us with school invoices so that we can pay the proceeds towards school education. One of the things that Monica also had mentioned is the agility in which this product is structured, that you may be looking into a vehicle that can help you save up for a holiday or purchase a home or even to start a business. So the proceeds in terms of what we refer to as a maturity benefit will come back to the policyholder's account. It's up to them to decide how they will use it and how they will allocate the money at their own discretion. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Eric. We have a question. I am an alumni, a group of young men with families. Can we qualify for last expense cover? I think, Monica, you can take that.
All right. Just 1 minute. So the question on the last expense cover. So for most people, or for the benefit of those who don't know what a last expense cover is, a last expense cover is a funeral cover that simply helps families to deal with the burden of meeting the last respect or the last rites that come with the death of a family member. So yes, we have these products. Again, we are in collaboration with Absa. We have a last expense product with Absa, which is eligible for nuclear families. It can be extended to parents and parents-in-law. And it also caters for groups like, the circles, the alumni groups, and the chamas. So this this last rights policy, it's very affordable. And the key benefits that come with it is that in terms of premium, the premiums are very low. So we have premiums ranging from 1,400 to 6,000, depending on the type of cover that you've chosen, with a sum assured of 100K again to 500K. Again, for this particular product, we don't require any medicals, and the maximum entry age is 84 years. So again, very affordable, very, very good product, especially now that, especially with this pandemic, and not to be insensitive in any way, with this pandemic, we are seeing a lot of deaths. We have seen a lot of, harambes going around for medical bills, and especially for funeral expenses. So when you get a product like this, noting how low the premiums are, So it's something that can really come in handy during such hard times. So yes, we do cater for alumni groups. As I said before, we're going to share our contacts and then we can engage further on the same.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you very much for that question. We're getting in a lot of questions coming in, and we really appreciate that. Majority of this will actually be addressed in the next session. And as follow-up to that, someone has asked if we will give a date for the follow-up session so that you can plan adequately. This is to commit that this will be shared in all our social media, and also for those who have subscribed to Zamara on email, you will receive this information in very good time. We may not be able to communicate that exact date right now, but we'll be sure to get back to you. Mr. Wahome, a lot of interest is coming in with regards to the seasons that you spoke about. And someone has asked, please share the details of the seasons sessions Mr. Wahome facilitates. How does one join, and is there a fee?
Thank you. These are structured programs you run in personal finance. So there are many things we're going to learn. A lot of the questions you're asking will obviously be answered there. So we get to be able to set goals together. We understand debt management together. We understand education planning, retirement planning. We look at risk management. We look at investments. Now it is online. We offer it online because of COVID. We cannot do that. So we actually have online programs. We do them in the evening between 7 and 9. And now we're doing them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yes, there is a fee. There's a nice website you can go into, pfa.co.ke. You go to that website, you're going to get all the details. The classes are on now. We're in season 31, which is starting this week. So if you want to join, you can get a chance to join. But we want to welcome you because as much as Zamara and APSA are helping, it is good to build your basic knowledge. Because when you build your basic knowledge, you empower you. We say knowledge is power. So you can actually imagine what financial knowledge is. It is financial power. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wahome. We have seen quite a number of questions that we may not be able to get to all of them. And for those who may not have an answer to their question today, please feel free to reach out to us on retailinsurance@zamara.co.ke. The email address and contacts have actually been detailed in your chat box. Mr. Wahome has also included his contacts and the contacts for his organization. So please feel free to reach out to them in that session. So not to lock out anybody, but I'd like to conclude today's session by thanking everyone. And it's my hope that you enjoyed and learned as much as I did. So we'd like to close our webinar by thanking our keynote speaker for the very educative presentation, and also our panelists for sharing their insights. To you, our participants, we really would like to thank you for your time. A lot of people made it on time, and we had a lot of people coming in during the session. And this is to confirm that we will definitely be able to reach out to you on the next date, and we will be able to interact with each other further. So we will also be able to share the recording for this session so that you may have a view, as we mentioned earlier, for those who may have missed it. And as you can see from the presentation that is being displayed, that we have a list of some of the products that we have between ourselves and ABSA Life. Zamara is an intermediary, so therefore we are able to work with ABSA Life to be able to come up and present these products to you. After this session, you will receive a survey in your emails, and please fill it in, as we'd like to hear your feedback on today's session and on topics you'd like to discuss in future. This survey will actually take you a maximum of 3 minutes to fill in, and would appreciate it if you will fill it in. Next slide, Zawadi. To finally introduce Zamara for those who may not know who we are, you'll notice that we have quite a number of services that we offer in the industry. True to our tagline of powering prosperity, we offer corporate insurance solutions, retirement fund administration. I think we're mostly known for that, and umbrella retirement fund. We offer medical insurance solutions for corporate and retail clients, general insurance solutions, so your motor insurance, your domestic package insurance, etc. We offer asset consulting, life insurance solutions, and all those items that you see listed there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you a productive rest of the day. Feel free to reach us on all the details that we have provided to you on your chat box. We have provided our number and our emails. Feel free to reach to us. Thank you and have a wonderful day.